Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the world? Welcome on and back again, of course, to the Sports Buffoons Studios here out of Lenexa, Kansas. Once more, we got the full clan here with the table with us. Yeah, we got JG to my left, Tanner Dawson to my right. So, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
Well, we sit here on, is this June 25th? Is that right?
It is June 26th.
We got 26th. We got the NBA draft on in the background. So we're kind of keeping tabs on that for our own sake. JG has some feelings maybe he can let out later on the show about that. Towards he being a Spurs fan, that is. But otherwise, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, man. Just sitting here watching the draft. I think the three of us had a fantastic day on Juneteenth.
Oh, yeah. We did.
So be interested to know what was your favorite part of that day on Juneteenth? Because I know we did some shenanigans on that day.
Yeah, Juneteenth was an amazing day, man. Somehow Tanner got off work and got to join us for the festivities. My favorite part was probably the fact we went to every single casino in the Kansas City metro area.
We did. We touched every one.
We made it happen, man. And I never thought I'd go to all of them in one day. Well, all of them other than 7th Street Casino, just because I would not recommend going in that area to begin with. But otherwise, man, it was a fun time. And my favorite part besides that was probably just the fact we went in there and whooped their butts pretty good. So I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, used it quite well.
What about you, Tanner? What was your favorite part of that day?
Hanging out with you guys, man. That's why I took off. So, it wasn't too bad of a temperature day, and we hit everything there and had a bunch of fun. So that's my favorite part.
And we kept everything legal.
We did.
To my knowledge. I mean, we didn't do anything illegal on that day. So that's
right.
Yeah, that's not what we usually do on the national holidays, but I think we kept it straight on the straight and narrow.
We got home a little late. So that was
we did. Didn't
somehow my car got left at your house for 4 days.
I think we all know, though, if we're going to get the buffoons together, it's going to be a late night.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be like that, but whenever you turned on to 70 to go towards Hollywood, I was like, well, here we go. This is the direction this night's going. All right.
Driving through the woods.
It's only a Wednesday,
Just like that.
Driving through the woods. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was driving through the woods. Yep. Guys, well, at least you didn't get lost because we have some things to talk about right now. And I have some questions for you guys out there listening. Of course, we're talking Royals today for a little bit, as well as a couple NBA topics. I know the finals just happened, but we have some new details that have emerged as far as trades go and some other signings. And then here towards the end of the show, we got a little NFL fireworks topic we're going to go after with you guys.
Yeah.
But speaking of lost, I have some questions for you guys because over the past month or month and a half or so of Kansas City Royal baseball, it's been concerning, to say the least, because this team is not what it once was to begin the season. This team was super strong, really in a lot of ways a top 5 team for the first, 50 games or so, or 40 games of the season. And it's taken a bit of a turn here lately. And it has me kind of wondering, the trade deadline is going to be coming up in July. There's options out there. This team is out at crossroads. Do you turn left and just take it for what it is, or you take a right turn and say, I'm going to make something happen and make a push to get to the playoffs? Because as they sit right now, this team is not a playoff team.
It is not. They're out of the wild card. And I talked about this. We talked about last show. You asked the question about the Royals and what we essentially got to do the All-Star break. I go, we got to compete in these series. We don't necessarily have to win, but we got to compete. And that's what we did not do.
Right. It's not been good.
Did not do. And then, of course, the series where you needed to win or have a complete sweep, such as the Marlins series going on, you lost last night. You had to come back today. That's the concerning part of it all.
Well, yeah, the concerning part, too, is that obviously some guys are underperforming from where they were at earlier on in the year. But, you lost 2 out of 3 to the A's, which was a team that had just lost 9 games in a row. And we're seeing a huge fall off in the pitching department, relief pitching in particular, from where it was in the beginning of the season. And then your bats there for a while has gone on a big cold streak. So there's a few holes within the roster right now. I am glad at least Michael Massey's back and playing again because he was actually a big part of early on success in this season. So he's back and healthy. Renfroe got over his broken toe, and he's been back and playing pretty decently. But, my question for you guys is, before this trade deadline, what kind of move would you make? If you're in position to make a move, what do the Royals need for this roster to get this thing turned back in the right direction?
So right now we're 9 games back, and so my first thought here is like this isn't a situation where I want to go all in, right? So
Correct.
I'm just looking for a guy that can help the team, but I'm not going to have to, spend a lot of my resource to get. And I'm looking at an outfielder, Taylor Ward of the Angels. And the reason why I'm looking at him is because MJ Melendez and Hunter Renfroe, they can't hit. So when you got an outfielder spot like that, when you got guys that can't hit, that's to me is if you can get sort of like a cheaper option. Again, I'm not going to go all in here, but if I can get somebody like a Taylor Ward just to kind of bolster my lineup a little bit, that's the direction that I'm looking, because I don't think he's not a guy that's going to cost you a lot, but he is hitting pretty well right now. Over the last 7 days, batting .318 with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs.
He's a all-around player.
He's a guy that you can get, but you're not going to give up the farm to get him. And so I'm just taking kind of baby steps here, because when you're 9 games back, you're not going to give up the farm.
Yeah,
to
you're doing
go all
injuries,
in.
Yeah.
You're not going to go all in like Jerry Jones on the Dallas Cowboys, like he likes to say.
Right.
I like it. I mean, 16th in that batting average right now is where you're sitting as a Kansas City Royals in the league, 11th in runs. It is a position that you should look forward to. That if you can bolster it, giving up maybe your 20th or more, 18th or more prospect, and maybe another guy that you can bring out without giving too big of pieces, I'd be in for that. Or maybe a contract relief too. So I don't mind that deal.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of either a corner outfielder or something in the bullpen. Both situations need some attention, in my opinion. And then, obviously just depth in general is something that's kind of a concern for the team. They've had a few injuries they had to deal with. And the guys, we got up CJ Alexander. He's playing his first couple games in the major leagues these last few days. And it's not been pretty, man. He went 0 for 7 or whatever. And it was ugly, man. The swings were ugly. He struck out multiple times. And we're relying on this guy, to kind of fill in at third base.
Welcome to the big leagues.
And it's rough, man. It's rough. It's a situation you don't want to find yourself in. Funny enough, one of the top options right now that could be a potential trade prospect is Brent Rooker from the A's. But he was just on the Royals 2 years ago, as a matter of fact. And so he's a guy that the Royals were basically just didn't think much of. Let him go. Went to the A's, hit 30 home runs last year. Yeah. Currently has 14 this year, and I think he's batting around 250 at the moment. But at this point, it's kind of a lost cause at that with Brent Rooker, in my opinion. I'm going to gear more towards the bullpen and relief pitching, and I got a guy in mind that we actually just saw come to town here in Kansas City for the Miami Marlins, and that's Tanner Scott. That guy is nails right now. He's phenomenal. Pitching right now, a 1.59 ERA. The Royals right now, working with MacArthur as the closing pitcher, but I think that he still is a guy that could be moved around in the bullpen as well. I don't think he's a bona fide certified closer, like a Greg Holland like we had in the past.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. But man, if you're Tanner Scott right now and the way you've been pitching is amazing, and it's not just inconsistent. I mean, the guy didn't, all of a sudden do this out of nowhere. Last year, his season-long ERA was a 2.31. So obviously something's been figured out over the last couple of years with this guy. He throws heat as well. So to me, if you're going to make a move, go to a team like the Marlins, who are probably going to be in sell mode because they are not doing well right now. Even the Royals took care of business against them finally. And right now, I think he should be a guy for the Marlins, be willing to listen to offers. And the Royals need a guy like that to rely on, because right now, the last 30 days, the Royals are 26th in the MLB in relief pitching ERA.
Since he's come to Miami in 2022, this is a guy that's pitched 60 or more innings each year with Miami in the last, 2 years here. But he had 4.31 ERA right in 2022. Last year, they were horrendous, and he still ended up being a 2.31, like you said here, and a 1.59. He is on pace for a career year. He's been around since 2017 there with Baltimore. So, like, having a guy like that on such a trajectory to be able to get a guy that's also, I believe his contract's starting to come to an end too. So he wouldn't be a long-term guy, but he'd be a guy that fills in. So having a Tanner Scott would make great sense. Yes, you would have to give up possibly a couple of prospects outside of the top 15. But I think it'd still be worth it for our bullpen, like you said, moving MacArthur back into the rotation and be a setup guy, even rotating the setup guy spot there. But Tanner Scott is a closer, and that's where I'm leaning towards as well. Like you said, relief pitching, mainly the closer spot. You got to be able to close out games. That's what made the Royals so great back in 14 and 15 was they were able to close these games out when it didn't have to come back in the 8th and 9th inning after giving up 4 runs. So I'm with you. I love Tanner Scott's my ultimate wish list right now in the trade debate here. So
I know it's more flashy to go after a guy, a hitter of some kind that can be an outfielder and be put in those kind of positions. But I think this Royals team, they're kind of set with what they got at the moment. I don't know that there's a lot of flexibility.
I don't think you necessarily need a bunch because we see the offense, even with guys out, they're still producing runs and hitting the ball. If they can just stop allowing runs and hits, like just improve a little bit and you're going to be fine.
We've seen the numbers. They're average across the board when it comes to offense. I mean, the batting average is right in the middle. Home runs, they're in the middle. On base percentage,
I see
nothing
wrong with it right now.
They could probably do a little better at taking walks here and there. But we've seen Melendez even do a better job at that lately. So I think offensively, even though they've gone through a cold streak as of late, I think that it's not necessarily their issue as much as it is the bullpen just kind of failing in big time situations. And we've seen Schreiber, of course, or Schreiber. End up causing some issues as the year's gone on. Beginning of the year, he's pitching great, and now it's falling off.
You're looking to improve the team in the trade deadline, right? And being 21st in efficiency right now in the MLB and your bullpen is not the way to go. It is not the prettiest thing here. You've only gone down in the recent weeks here in the efficiency standpoint. So this is where you got to get better. I think your offense is fine. You've shown that. Your starting rotation's phenomenal generally across the board.
Oh yeah,
it's literally when you get to the bullpen, and that's where it can lose you games. Now, this is also going to be a very competitive market in bullpen across the MLB, and you're going to might give up some pieces you don't want to give up if you're looking to compete, right? The Rangers are out there looking for bullpen guys. Houston's going to be looking out there. Minnesota, Boston, Cleveland's probably going to look for a little piece here too because they got a bunch of injuries. There's going to be a spot, and there's going to be hard trades here. You may not get anybody that you need here with that bullpen piece, but there's a bunch of teams out there that are looking the same way.
Well, we can be hopeful. At least Chris Bubich will be back from his injury here soon. He had Tommy John surgery, and he's just had a hard time coming back ever since that injury occurred.
It's tough.
And so, absolutely. Yeah. So it's just he's one of those guys. As a starting pitcher previously, his ERA was in the 4.7 or 5s even at times. Which that might be a guy with this rotation we currently have starting would be put right away in relief in the bullpen. And so maybe he's going to be better suited there whenever it's his time to get back up.
On reliever style, maybe with that too. There's a couple guys I did have. Oh, did you have another guy, Jason? Okay. So there's one guy down in Houston. Yes, Houston actually has come back in the recent weeks. They were towards the bottom of the AL. They are now right behind the Royals at 40-40. We are still in above 500, luckily. But Houston's coming alive. Houston is coming alive, but Houston's offseason move of adding in Josh Hader as their closer kicked out Ryan Presley from the closing spot. This is a guy also very affordable and probably for an Astros team that's probably looking to rebuild a little bit here, also in a down year, right, for them. That's probably still going to make the playoffs, but down year, you can go out and get Ryan Presley, former closer who's closed the last 2-3 years, I believe it is, with Houston. Let's see here. Sorry. Yeah. So he's been a closer since 19. Okay. This is a guy that's experienced in the closing rotation. Got kicked out by a better closer in Josh Hader. You can't compete with that. So right now he's a setup man. He's also a middle reliever. Go out. You can probably get him for a fairly decent price. Go ahead and get him on the Royals, and he can be a full-time closer again. Yeah, his last 3 years, 31 saves, 33 saves, 26 saves. His ERA is sitting about 0.44 to just over 500. But when you need him the most, it seems like he's getting it done. And that's not his ERA.
I was going to say, what kind of numbers is this?
Sorry, 3.58 last year, but 2.98 and 2.25 the last.
I was like, how are you above 500 for an ERA? Is that impressive or bad?
I had my columns hidden. So we're looking at that here in the amount of games there. I'd take this guy if he's sitting there anywhere between a 2 and a 3 ERA. It's an improvement in our rotation. or it's an improvement in our bullpen. It's improvement to end the game as well with those kind of numbers. So I'd be curious to see exactly if Houston's looking to offload some more guys to try to get younger up there and save some money. So Ryan Presley is one guy to watch for here as well.
Very nice. Well, I'm going to ask this every 2 weeks. So we're going to be on air. And guys, just for the record out there, those of you listening, we're still going to be currently every other week at the moment, but we have picked a day for when we're back full time every single Wednesday. And I believe we came with, was it August 21st as our back to full time every single weekday. So that way we can keep up with you guys with fantasy football, of course, football season with the Chiefs and everything else that has to do with that, because we don't want to miss anything when it comes time football season. But for now, we got some NBA stuff to go over.
Well, I did have one more guy.
You got another one?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know you had multiple, man. I just had one guy that I knew I really liked.
There's one more guy, another closer, Mason Miller with the A's. You just talked about the A's there being a pretty horrendous team. Mason Miller also looking at a career year.
And they got a relief pitcher as well that could be.
There's multiple guys on this team that we could go out and get. Right. Again, they're looking to kind of sell off here. He's 25 years old, so you're going to have him for a little bit as well. But this is a guy that has 14 saves so far this year. He has a 2.08 ERA right now on 28 games. Like, this guy is on fire right now, and it's a guy that you can go out and probably still give up a couple prospects and have him as a solid closer. Another guy that can put MacArthur in the middle of the bullpen. I would love to see me some Mason Miller in the play. He's only pitched 2 years in the big leagues. He pitched 10 games last year, 28 this year, and he's doing nothing but phenomenal. So he's kind of the guy I'm looking for. He's also a righty. Presley, I believe, is also a righty. If I remember right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, righty. So Tanner Scott's a lefty. I would love Tanner Scott's my favorite by far. I take Ryan Presley, but I take probably Tanner Scott, Mason Miller, then Ryan Presley in the bullpen. So those are three guys. I have more, but we'll just stick with those guys. There are some names I do want to call out that some people are throwing around in the Royals community. You're not going to get Trevor Richards. He is a free agent after this year here in for Toronto, but Toronto's still competing there in the AL. For AL, did I say AL? Man, I'm stuck in football mode. So yeah, the AL. I got it right. So the AL.
I was wondering what the problem was.
Wait a second.
I confused my.
Are they not in the AL? Wait, are we talking about the Montreal Expos?
Too many Dr. Peppers, Tanner.
Man, AL. Yeah, AL. So yeah, Toronto's still competing there. I mean, they're not doing the greatest this year. They had a bunch of injuries, but I don't think you should give it. I think you'll give up too much for Trevor Richards. Also, soon to be Hall of Famer Kennedy Jansen up there in Baltimore. Boston. Boston's ahead of us. They're in the wild card. They're competing for a wild card spot. They're not going to give up Jansen. You're going to have to give up a pretty penny for him. So those two guys, if you hear the names out there, maybe in the mainstream media and the Royals community as well, it's not going to happen, guys. We're looking for the teams that are on the downway, looking to spend some money. So for the Royals side of things, that's what I'm looking at is teams that are possibly looking to sell and get younger. So,
all right. So what I meant to ask you a few minutes ago was I'm going to ask you just every 2 weeks up until the end of the season, basically. But you guys say it now. Will the Royals make the playoffs? Yes or no? You can update your opinion essentially every 2 weeks.
They will. Yes, they will.
I'm going to go with
yes.
I'm going to go with yes.
So we're sticking with the yes. Okay.
Technically, they are outside looking in right now.
Right.
They would not be in a wild card spot right now, but I thought that they would do a little bit better in this stretch that they're going through right now. But
man.
Ultimately, I think you need to get hot at the right time, and right now is not the right time. So if it's going to play out this way, I'd much rather they get hot in August and September.
Their schedule in July is a lot prettier than their end of the June schedule or their June schedule they had. So we talked about it last week here or 2 weeks ago when we were live here with July. Boston, it's going to be a tough team. Arizona, Chicago. Outside of those three series, they're all winnable, and they're all very winnable in those series here. And we'll kind of look at August here: Detroit, Boston, Minnesota. So it gets a little tougher in August. August is going to be your tough month there, and you have an Astros team at the end of August that will be competing for a wild card spot. I guarantee you that you will have to finish out. So July, it's time to catch up, try to get ahead as much as you can. August is compete month. before you in September. So that's kind of where you're looking at in the future in the next 2 months.
Yeah, for me, the Royals are going to be a lot like crypto. They're going to be hot when they're hot and cold when they're cold, and they're going to have their ups and downs, and they might be drastic, more than your typical stock market. But I think in the end, crypto prevails. And so do the Royals. I'm hoping, at least for the playoffs.
The only difference is crypto is guaranteed to pump, whereas the Royals, there's no guarantees here.
Yeah, but you got what I'm saying. We go through the ups and downs of the crypto world.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
we'll say that the Royals are having a cryptoic type of experience lately,
Experience.
of the highs of being high and the lows being low. So
That's great.
But the good news is, I'm pretty sure Bitcoin's about to rise up again. So that means the Royals will start doing better. So
Hopefully.
So we're gonna go with that. Good juju, I suppose. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and jump over to the NBA. As we mentioned a minute ago, we're still watching the NBA draft in the background. But Jason, I know he's got something he was to dive into for a few minutes at least. And we had a trade in the NBA here as of yesterday. Is that right?
Yep.
With
last night.
Mikal Bridges, formerly of the Phoenix Suns, which is, as you guys know me very well, that is my NBA team that I've been following for not too long, but I've adopted them as my favorite team. Thanks a lot to Devin Booker for that. But I got to experience Mikal Bridges as a fan and got to see him from his younger years, of course, from the time he was, 23 to 25 or so, being a starter on our roster. And
It's Mikal, by the way.
Mikal.
I just say McHale because I remember
So,
Kevin McHale from back in the day. So I just
the
say McHale.
official Princeton pronunciation has Mikal.
It's funny, for the first
Mikal.
time ever, Tanner's worried about pronunciation whenever he calls everybody all
I
kinds
know,
of
if I know one, I got it right, man.
Well, I don't understand why they call Michael Garcia Michael, because that isn't. It's not
I know,
how
right?
spell it. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't
It's
make
definitely
sense.
Mikhail. So
I don't understand why one time on the show you said plethora when it was supposed to be plethora.
yeah,
I'm still trying to. I
That
thought
was a long
about that
time ago.
today. That was like 2 years ago. And I'm still trying to figure
I
out
think
why
that was,
you did that.
That was 3 yeyears ago. I think I had something else on my mind. I don't know. Anyways, for Bridges, I have my personal thoughts about him, and it's nothing bad by any means, but I just think that there's a lot of expectations for what he's going to bring to the Knicks, which is where he ended up at here just a day ago. And I know some people are excited. I myself see him as just a good player, a good starting player, a good defender on your NBA roster, but others might see it differently. So Jason, tell me what everyone's excited about with this Bridges trade.
I personally like the trade. I talked to a Knicks fan a little bit earlier in the night, and I think the biggest downside, I guess, if you will, on this trade is that a lot of people are saying that they gave up too much. Like everybody, the NBA community really likes Mikal Bridges, but they think that 4 first-round picks was a little bit too much to give up for him. And I disagree with that. The Knicks fan that I talked to earlier disagrees with that because when we had the Rudy Gobert trade and they gave up 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert, that kind of set the standard at the time. Well, now fast forward to right now, you look at those two trades side by side and we're like, well, wait a second. We only gave up 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. Are we now saying that Rudy Gobert is a better player than Mikal Bridges? I personally don't think that's the case. Rudy Gobert can't create his own shot. Rudy Gobert is not an elite two-way player like Mikal Bridges. And so I think that giving up the 4 first-round picks, I mean, I think that was a perfect trade. I think it was totally fair. Mikal Bridges, I think of him as an ascending player. He's only 27 years old. Mike, I think you and I talked about this a little bit earlier. You think of him as kind of a mid-tier player. Well, we have something in NBA called the mid-level and exception salary. Those guys only make like $5 million a year. That's considered a mid-level exception player. Mikal Bridges is making $24 million a year. And so obviously he's not a superstar, but I think he is an ascending star. He's already proven once he got out of Phoenix, he could score 24 points a game like he did last year. This year, it went down a little bit. He's only scoring like 19 points per game, but he's clearly proven that he's an elite two-way player. He can create his own shot. He can play elite defense. When he was in Phoenix, he made the all defensive team in the NBA. So I think this guy's career is still on the upside. I mean, it's on its way up. And I think in terms of the Knicks, just look at their starting five. You've got Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. This is kind of like it reminds me of the Celtics, honestly. The Celtics, you don't have this great superstar that just overwhelms everybody. You just have 5 really, really great players. And that's kind of what they're going to be competing with next year. And honestly, with this starting lineup, obviously their biggest Achilles heel has been health. And these guys can't stay healthy for whatever reason. But I think from a roster perspective, I mean, I think they're just as good as the Celtics right now. I think they're just as good as the Philadelphia 76ers right now. Well, who else do they have to beat, Tanner?
Boston, that's it.
No, Philadelphia, if they were healthy, could have easily beaten Boston.
Philadelphia, no, they could not have. Joel Embiid, no, they could not have.
So Tanner, are you prisoner of the moment right now? You think that since the Celtics just won the championship, that they're easily going to win it next year?
I would have said this 4 months ago.
Tanner, we said the same thing about Denver.
6 months ago.
We said the same thing about Denver last year. Everybody was prisoner of the moment. Oh my gosh, Denver's going to win 3 more championships.
They should have.
They didn't do shit.
They should.
Well, guess what? Those are the Boston Celtics right now.
Philadelphia, Joel Embiid has to compete with Al Horford and Porzingis. Then they have to deal with the defense, and Maxey can't defend by himself, and Harris isn't going to be nowhere found. You're missing an all-star team. You got the Yankees, Sixers can be either Bo Sox, and then you got the Knicks, maybe the Rays, maybe Toronto.
All right, so let's just say you're a Celtics guy. Would you give them the second best team? Can they be the second best team in the East right now?
Yeah. Wait, are we talking about better than Milwaukee then?
Yeah, absolutely better. Milwaukee. You guys, you gotta stop thinking about Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, I'm with that.
You guys thought Milwaukee was that great, but they don't have Drew Holiday anymore. He was a huge piece of that championship
I do hate
team.
to break it to
They're
you.
not the same team.
I'm gonna so if I had to do it, I'd go Celtics. I'd probably go Knicks, and then I'd go Pacers, Sixers.
Okay. So if you're putting the Knicks in the number 2 spot, then
I'd go
by default. You're saying that was a good trade. Do you think that 4 picks was too much to give up for him?
Well, but obviously the team improved. I mean, it's not like it was a bad trade where they went nowhere. They improved with this.
No, they improved for this year, but he's a UFA for next year. So now you just paid Anunoby, what, 5-year deal or whatever it was that he got. Now you're gonna have to go out and pay Mikal
$19 million
next year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like defensively, if you're gonna stop the Celtics, you've got to stop Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. What do Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby bring to the table? Elite perimeter defenders.
You do got to compete with it.
So you have to have those guys out there flying around on the perimeter to be able to stop those guys.
So now you do got to lock them up, though. You got to lock them up to 2027 at least. And you also have a chance to get a 2029 first-round pick from a swap from Dallas, Houston, Phoenix first deal. So you have to get them. You have to basically solidify them, I think, until 2028. So after this year, you improve for this upcoming year. Great. Fabulous. What do you do after that? Well, how does this trade? You just give up all your first, or your first that you did have in the draft for nothing, all for 1 year? And that would be the only downfall I see of this.
I'm saying your goal is to win right now because the Eastern Conference is pretty poor right now.
No, it is. It's
you saw the Celtics just run right through the East with no problem.
Injured Butler, injured what's his face, and Pacers, injuries.
But injured Knicks. Jalen Brunson.
Donovan Mitchell injured.
Jalen Brunson was able to drag that team by himself.
Yes.
Almost all the way through the playoffs. And now all of a sudden, if they get healthy and you throw in Mikal Bridges, they're right there to me with the Celtics. They can make it to the finals. And if you're in the Eastern,
still missing pieces, man.
If you're in the Eastern,
they're missing another piece.
What, their bench? They had to give. So they're going to have to give up Hartenstein.
They need somebody.
No, he's right. They have to give up Hartenstein because they're not going to be able to keep him.
No, you can't. You can't at all.
And Mitchell Robinson can't even stay on the court.
The bench is not great. I know all about being bad on the bench, but
that's why. And we're going to talk about the draft a little bit later. But we need to see who the Knicks. if they're going to draft a center, because if I'm the Knicks organization, that's what I'm looking at in the draft right now. You've got to find another big for when Mitchell Robinson decides that he's going to play 12 games in the whole freaking season.
So do you guys think there's anything to the idea that the Knicks now have added, now their fourth Villanova former player?
Knicks, baby.
4 different people who won championships with Villanova at different times in their college career.
Well, that I'm glad you brought that up, because you've got DiVincenzo coming off the bench, who is an elite, bench player. Same thing with Josh Hart. So they have 2 elite bench players right now. It's just that it's the 5. Who are they going to get to play the 5 when Mitchell Robinson injures his cock and can't enter the game? Like that's their only, to me, that's the only thing they're missing from that roster.
Yeah, and I'm with you there on the whole draft. Where do they go in the draft ranks here for this? So, I mean, honestly, you get rid of Randall's if you can get rid of Randall's contract this year and trade that out, and then also
they're going after KD. You understand that, right? That's the whole reason.
I haven't heard that yet, though.
That's the only reason why they did this deal, was because they thought if they brought in Bridges, then if they got Hartenstein off the books, then maybe they could flip Randall to the Suns and bring in KD. It's most likely not going to happen, but my sources tell me that KD wants the hell out of there, as he always does after year 1 or year 2. Him and James Larden, they always want to get the hell out of there after year 1. So if they can make that happen, now all of a sudden you got KD on the Knicks. But they wanted to give the Knicks wanted to give themselves a chance to bring in KD, and KD obviously wants to go there, but time will tell. Let's just see what happens. I don't know if they're going to be able to make that deal happen. Julius Randle would be the guy. That would be the piece that would have to move back to Phoenix.
Well, Hartenstein's a UFA or early bird, so whatever option they decide to go with, or I guess if they want to sign him, so he's not even on the board anymore.
No, I don't care about Hartenstein. I mean,
isn't that what you just said?
I don't
for Durant, or did you say
no? Julius Randle would be the salary that you have.
Okay,
you would have to use to match
I think
up.
You said Hartenstein to.
No, I don't care about Hartenstein. He's gone basically. So, but to get Durant, that you're going to have to get rid of. You're going to have to get Randle off of your cap.
That's a rough year in free agency for big men. What do you say? Jonas Valanciunas?
Jonas Valanciunas?
Valanciunas.
Jonas.
Is that how you say it though?
That's like the Jonas brothers, only it's the Jonas brothers.
He's literally the best big man right now in the free agent world. So if you're gonna go out and get a big guy, that's your guy.
Yeah, and he's like 37 years old.
31.
Nobody wants that guy.
32, sorry, 32.
He's fine. I mean, yeah, if they could get him. But you're not going to get him.
Trade, man.
If you get KD, you can get him on the books if you don't get KD. But if you get KD, you're not going to bring in Valanciunas.
You're not bringing him in 15 at all. You probably.
But honestly, at this point, dude, I wouldn't even bother with KD. Can we just get rid of the idea of KD in the state of New York?
What about the whole Klay Thompson deal? You think that would be a piece to go add?
For who?
For Knicks.
No, hell no. He's washed.
I don't think he can shoot anymore.
Klay Thompson is washed. The Golden State just needs to get him off the books and get him out of there. And in fact, with Golden State, those guys need to get everybody off the books except for Steph Curry and Draymond Green. I want Wiggins off the books. I want Kevon Looney off the books, and I want Klay Thompson off the books. They need to restart and just get rid of all these guys.
Yep, I agree.
All right, we'll move on to the next thing here. Real quick, nothing too serious, but any idea to the idea that any thought to the idea that Bronny James, who could be selected either at the end of tonight or sometime tomorrow in the second round of the draft, LeBron and him have been practicing together, of course. I mean, they're father and son. Why wouldn't they? The idea that LeBron has now tried to come out and say that, it's not a guarantee that he's going to be just following Bronny just for the sake of following Bronny to whatever team drafts him. I think that's a bunch of BS. I think that's LeBron throwing that out there to try to put it in the minds
his agent.
Coming from LeBron, yes. But I think it's just throwing it out there with the idea that you kind of throw off a few teams. He doesn't want Bronny to go to a piss poor organization because LeBron doesn't want to go to a piss poor organization. But if you send Bronny to a team and he's drafted to somebody who obviously has some kind of structure and has had quality, pretend like it's the Spurs, for instance, in a situation like that, a historical franchise, then of course, I think LeBron will be open to something like that, going to a team and when that's in that kind of situation. So, anyways, do you guys think that, wherever Bronny ends up, that LeBron for sure ends up there as well?
No.
I mean, I think to a certain extent that's a smokescreen that Rich Paul is putting out there, because there's a reason why he said that. He's like, this is not a package deal.
It's not a guarantee.
And I think that could be true in the case of Phoenix. But if what happens, what we were talking about, if KD ends up on the Knicks, now that all of a sudden that's a completely different situation, because now all of a sudden you have cap space to bring in a LeBron James if they do draft Bronny James.
You don't do that. If you're Phoenix, the definition of insane is doing the same thing over and over and over again. This would be the definition of insane for Phoenix if they sign LeBron in. The definition of insane, because you don't build depth. There's no depth being built in this freaking place, and we've talked about it every year of their playoffs. Every year.
Well, they're about to implode anyway, Tanner. There's no picks after this year, so it's.
I know that's the worst part.
The Suns are about to be probably the worst team in the league for the next 5 years.
Definitely, that's insane if we do this.
That's why you need to make these acts of desperation when you have nothing else.
Right,
you do draft Bronny James.
This is your chance.
You do draft Bronny.
One more shot. One more shot at this.
I heard somebody just throwing out this option, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Spurs fan. Somebody threw out the option that the best thing that could happen for Bronny's career is to go play for Greg Popovich. And I thought, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But this person didn't add the fact that we could actually get LeBron on that team.
Right.
And his point was, I think it was somebody on ESPN. His point was that if you bring in Bronny James, you would have plenty of time to develop him because the Spurs are not trying to win now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If LeBron James, could you guys imagine LeBron James? It was somebody on ESPN. I can't remember.
There we go.
No, but I'm just saying, he never made this point. He said he never brought up LeBron. But I'm like, if LeBron follows him to the Spurs, because that we could make that deal happen.
You could.
We can easily create cap space for LeBron. If that happens, I'm sorry, we are ready to win now. Could you imagine LeBron James and Wembanyama on the same team? Just don't even play the games, dude.
Yeah.
Hand him the freaking trophy. It's over. You can't compete with those two guys.
And you have depth. As long as you're not doing anything with your depth, you're fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I would easily throw him in the NBA Finals.
But you'd be playing LeBron $50 million. So.
But we can absorb that.
You can.
Like the Spurs, we can create cap space. All you got to do is get rid of Keldon Johnson,
because
who's another Rich Paul client, by the way.
I don't know. Outside of Bronny and LeBron, who else is Rich Paul?
Keldon Johnson.
Oh, Johnson is. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
No, you could move Keldon Johnson.
But you don't want to do that.
I would. For LeBron James, hell yeah, I would get rid of Keldon Johnson.
You could keep him, couldn't you, with your salary?
No, I think they would have to. The salaries have to match if you're going to do a deal like that.
Well, you wouldn't be doing a deal. He's a free agent. If he doesn't accept his player,
okay,
deal, he'd be a free agent.
Yeah, but he's unrestricted next year.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, then it's full UFA. So, but he has a $52 million player option that if he either accepts, if he doesn't accept.
Either way, you can fit him on the books. That's the only thing that matters.
I didn't know this was going to turn into a wet dream for JG over here.
It's Wembanyama.
It's turned. Well, it went from is Bronny and LeBron going to play the same team to let's circle jerk about the Spurs for a minute.
So you've got let's look at this. You've got the best player of the last. I'm not going to go last 20 years, but you got the best player in the league for the last 12 years.
That kills. No.
And together with Wembanyama, who is the best player in the next 12 years or 15 years on the same freaking team.
I get it.
Same freaking team, dude.
Yeah, but this was
and all you got to do, Mike, to make this happen.
All I'm saying is it wasn't, hey, what happens if he goes to the side? Okay.
And
maybe I brought up the Spurs at some point, but I didn't know it was going to go down this.
No,
this rabbit hole, dude.
it's not. Don't worry
This is
about
like
that.
a dark-
It was going there anyway.
This is a dark secret for you.
No, this is a
Because
dark secret. It
We've
was
talked
going
about
there
LeBron
anyway.
on this show like 1,000 times. This is the first time I've heard you so excited like about the idea of LeBron going to your team.
The thing about it is like we know LeBron respects Greg Popovich because he's played for Greg Popovich in the USA basketball team.
Yeah, you're
so
right, though.
those two guys, they have a hard on for each other, even though they've never like played, they've never been together in the NBA, they've been together in the Olympics, and there's tremendous respect between those two guys. And so, and if that's all it takes, if all I have to do is draft Bronny James, and now I've got LeBron and Wembanyama, I mean, let's do it, man.
So
I'm all in.
I know the whole like, salary cap things fake in NBA as well sometimes. But this year you have so much cap holds. You have 37 mil of cap holds this year.
Oh, I know.
And this puts you at minus 14 already.
Yeah, the collective bargaining agreement is going to screw up the whole league.
Oh, it is big time. This is awful.
But and then the other issue you have with LeBron is it's going to be like that whole, how many times have I lost to the finals? And, 2 times I lost to the Spurs. And if you can't beat him, then join them.
Pull a KD.
Yeah. LeBron is never going to allow that to happen in his career unless the Spurs draft Bronny James. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there, boys, because they've already screwed up their first round pick today. We're going to get to that a little bit later. So, you can make it everything go away. You can make everything go away, including that screwed up first round pick that you just made. If you just draft Bronny James, that's all you got to do. He fixes everything.
Well, we'll see where Bronny ends up, and then we'll end up recapping that like probably next podcast.
Your buddy I hear did say that Spurs just drafted Bronny in the first round.
I doubt that.
Joking is what he said. So
no,
good job, Starsky. Got him,
Starsky. Though, if we're watching it in the background, man, we know what's going on, so you can't trick us that easily. But
you could tell me he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Spurs. I still wouldn't believe you.
Yeah. All right, guys. One more thing on the NBA before we get over to a quick NFL topic. So now, like I said earlier, I've not been following the NBA all that long in my life. I was more of a late bloomer into this thing. So we have a JJ Redick announcement. But now, not an announcement. Everyone knows now at this point the decision to hire him as head coach of the Lakers, right?
Los Angeles Lakers.
So the idea, though, there's some controversy behind the JJ Redick hiring because he's been doing some podcasting lately, and he played for how many years? Was it 15, 16 years, something like that?
Some of that range.
And for some reason, there seems to be an issue in some talking heads around the game that is this the kind of guy you want going from what he started a podcast in 2016 and was the first ever NBA player to be doing a consistent podcast during the season while he was still playing, and continued on afterwards as well.
Yep.
To do that after he retired from the game. And
podcast for a while.
For some reason,
with ESPN, did a podcast with LeBron as well lately. So
for some reason, though, you guys have to fill me in on this, the issue at hand, because I don't see a problem in the fact the guy has been around the game, knows the game, and is now being given an opportunity to be a head coach of an NBA team, especially one, like the Lakers, notorious for being the most well-known team in the history of the game, I would say. But what's the big deal? Why is everyone throwing a fit about this? Why is everyone surprised? Like, what about JJ Redick am I missing?
Where's his coaching history, man? Where's his coaching history? What tells me that he can lead a team?
Steve Kerr.
What's
Steve Kerr
DeMeco Ryan's coaching history in the NFL?
In there.
DeMeco Ryan was a player not that long ago.
Yeah,
came straight over to the Texans as a head coach, and they kicked ass.
But you gave him a 4-year deal, guaranteed, and everything.
Well, that's the NBA.
All because
they're all guaranteed.
You couldn't lure away a college head coach, and you think that getting a guy that's been doing podcasts for the last 5 years, 4 years, whatever the hell it is, got to ESPN, doing stuff with bigger stuff. And now you're going to give him the head coaching job of the biggest name, biggest franchise in the NBA. after zero experience on a staff, zero experience in the last 3 years on around staff, all because he's doing podcasts.
All of that, it's unnecessary. You can have Todd Haley's of the world who are an assistant coach for their entire life and then get a head coach job and suck ass and are drunk every day.
I just
and so you can have those guys, but you know what? He has coaching experience. Like, we should give a shit about that. And the thing is, JJ Redick might turn out well. I don't know whether he will or not, but I think we're really overblowing the idea that he needs to have some kind of an assistant coach history or scouting history or something like that behind his name for it to work out. And like I just said a minute ago, D'Amico Ryans went straight from playing to basically being a coach right away. I mean, it was quick. It was really fast.
It was.
I mean, the guy was a badass linebacker for the Texans, and all of a sudden he's coaching for him the next day. You don't always need to have that time in between to where you worked your way up all of a sudden to earn the head coaching job. It doesn't work that way for some guys. Some guys are,
by the way,
naturally
D'Amico
good
was
at being a leader.
also a D coordinator for the Niners and the quality control coach.
Yeah,
so
right.
So it's not like he didn't have experience.
Right. No,
he had experience.
Quality control coach.
Quality
you
control
give him
coach.
credit for that.
2017 is what he was quality control coach. So
he was going to be jumping straight into head coaching quickly as it was.
Yeah, we knew that, but he still had to go learn the game from a coaching aspect of it. I have an issue here. I get it's cheap.
I think head coaching at the end of the day comes down to leadership. And that's
and
all.
You think JJ Redick's going to give you the leadership?
I don't know enough about him to say yes or no. But I know that there seems to be this controversy about it that somehow this guy can't be a leader or something.
No, it's not like he can't be. I like the guy. I really do. I think he would be. I think he is going to be a great head coach, or at least a coach in general. But I just feel like jumping from a podcast standpoint from where he was, jumping into the game, it's just not right. I don't think it's not right. I don't think it's going to be effective for what Lakers are looking for. I think what the Lakers are looking for is, hey, LeBron, we're going to sign your buddy that you're doing a podcast with, and sign your $52 million player option deal this year, and we'll go from there. So, and like it's a cheap deal. It's $8 million for 4 years, right? So, or $8 million per year. So you're it's chump change for NBA coaches right now. So you're going to offer Hurley $70 million before that. So I'm just saying, I think it's more of a bait to get LeBron back into LA. So
yeah, I think the D'Amico Ryans thing was a great example. I could send it back to when Steve Kerr joined the Warriors. He didn't have any coaching experience. So, I mean, you gotta start somewhere. And so I don't think the coaching experience really has anything to do with it. I do not like the situation. I think JJ
he did
Redick,
have full coaching experience. He's with Coach K in the United States national basketball teams.
That's fine.
From
but
18 to 22.
He never coached an NBA team.
No, he never was. No,
but
I'm just saying you're still with Coach K there. With
my problem is the situation. You know, I think JJ Redick is super sharp. He's got a high basketball IQ, just like LeBron James. And I think he's also got everything to prove. You know, Pat Riley back in the day, he wasn't a great player in the NBA. He was just kind of a backup player, never really accomplished much. Same thing with JJ Redick. He's got a lot to prove because he never really did much in his playing career. And on top of that, the late, great Jerry West, before he passed, he actually talked a lot of shit on JJ Redick, saying something like, you know, what did he do in his career? Did he average 12 points a game? So it's like, and that's another former Laker. So I think stepping into this Lakers job, JJ Redick has everything to prove. I don't like the situation with LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I mean, those guys are so washed, they don't even know which way is up. So, but I think that JJ Redick is going to be an excellent coach in the NBA. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to happen with the Lakers because, again, I do not like that situation right now with that organization. They have very limited draft capital. I mean, you've got your two superstars are old as shit. And what are you going to do in year one? Like, you going to win a championship? Because if you don't,
you got to compete. You got to be better than what you were last year.
If you don't win a championship in year one, you sure as hell aren't going to do it in year two and year three because those guys are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And so I love the idea of Redick as a coach. I hate
timing,
the expectation, and I hate the situation. But at least you've got your superstar player in LeBron James that respects you.
Correct.
There's a mutual respect there.
There's not going to be a fight.
If you're going to be a guy that coaches LeBron James, you better damn well have his respect And so I think that's the only positive that I can say in terms of the situation is that those two respect each other. But and I hope for the Lakers' sake that they will keep this guy around for the long term, no matter what happens in the first 2 to 3 years. Let this guy rebuild this team after LeBron James is gone. Because you even if I was a Lakers fan, I mean, you shouldn't have too many expectations in year one because it's just they're what are they going to do with that roster? Like there's really not a whole lot you can do with that roster, and so
you got to reset the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's reset time.
I feel good for JJ Redick in getting his opportunity, and he's going to be a really good coach eventually in the league. But I also feel bad for him to be thrown into a shitball situation like this.
Yeah, I think that's my issue with it. It's the timing of it going on. You could have had this guy do something after the old people leave.
I did like his initial press conference. Though.
He did.
He was throwing out the
F-bomb a bunch, man.
The buffoons. We used to like the F-bombs. We've been trying to scale that back a little bit, but I did like the
F book doesn't like the F-bombs.
Yeah.
So we can't.
That's true on that.
Many F's.
True
F book, the F book and the F tube. They don't like the F-bombs. So we had to scale it back.
The F tube. I haven't been to that website.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Man.
All right, guys. Well, shall we jump over for a few minutes then to the NFL for a quick, 4th of July is coming up. So I figured why not talk about, our opinion of what is the most explosive addition to a roster this offseason that is going to make the biggest splash impact, blow off top, as JG likes to talk about.
Did you guys just do one newcomer, right? Yeah.
Oh well, I have kind of a group, but I did.
Okay.
I have one.
I'm just picking a team.
Okay,
well,
I'm going with an
fine.
NFL team.
Well, that's what we might have had the
you
same.
can do it. Yeah.
I have a list of all players.
No, I got two. I got three different. So you guys say whatever the hell you want.
I'm looking for the one that's the most explosive, the one that's going to blow up the most, the one that's really going to make the biggest impact for the situation at hand, for the team that they are playing for.
Okay.
That
is one player. You want one player?
No, you can use a team.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if it's a group, you can use that too if you want to. It's up to you.
So, Mike, well, I'll let you kick it off, man. You never kick it off.
That's true. Okay. Well, for me, it's pretty easy, man. I'm probably going to steal some thunder here, but pretty much everything the Bears did this offseason is what I believe in to be an explosive adjustment to their situation. And I love the fact that, they retained DJ Moore, but the addition of Keenan Allen,
yes,
the drafting of Rome Odunze, and then, of course, you picked up DeAndre Swift, which is going to be awesome for the backfield. We know what he's been able to do for the Lions. Can now carry Lions and, of course, Eagles can now carry over for the Bears. And it's just you're surrounding a rookie quarterback, Caleb Williams, with the most possible talent he can work with in year one as a rookie, which is super, super important to me. And I've talked with people forever about how important it is to not put a quarterback in a situation where he's going to be ruined and fall apart year one and then never be able to recover from that happening. And I've seen that happen many times in the past with the NFL. And Caleb Williams might be, not as much of a strong head as others that we've seen come across this league. And maybe he needs to have that immediate success for his career to be off to a good start. Maybe he's not one that can handle coming out and failing right away and then rebounding, 3 years down the road. So I think it's awesome that this team built this offense around him, put all this talent around him, something to work with, something to rely on, and you even got a veteran tight end and Gerald Everett there with Cole Kmet as well.
Double handle there.
And I just think it's awesome. And you got let's see what else we got. DeAndre Carter, of course, Zealous Jones Jr., another guy who's still work in progress. So we'll see how he matures as years go on.
Don't forget the backfield there with Roschon Johnson and Herbert.
Well, yeah, exactly. Roschon Johnson, of course, is this guy that I still think pretty highly of, and Herbert, you never know with him. I mean, he's often injured, so we'll never know what to expect out of him. But for me, it is just everything the Bears did is going to be the most explosive advancement of this offseason for a team coming into the season because it's going to be really hard to fail. I think if you give pretty much any other quarterback in the league this offense, you're going to win a minimum 10 games.
You're in the playoffs.
I mean, and not to mention their defense isn't too bad either. If you look across the board, they got some players there. So for me, you're putting a quarterback in a great position, and I think there's a chance in year one if Caleb Williams can come out and have that spark we all talked about, at USC, some of the things he's able to do, that this could be the biggest explosion of the NFL offseason.
You also brought in a new OC there for the Bears, so you got rid of the crap they had the last 2 years with Matt Eberflus. I was coaching with Matt Eberflus, and brought in a different guy there. So
Eberflus.
Fired Flus by the end of the year, but but that was the nice part too. Is you got a new OC there, a more passing friendly, more offensive. So it'll be good.
Yep. So what do you guys got?
I'm just going to throw out the Houston Texans overall is going to be my blow off top this year. I guess there's probably people out there that could make the case that CJ Stroud is going to have a sophomore slump. I don't see it happening. I feel like everybody wants to talk shit on Stephon Diggs, and maybe rightly so, but you already had an amazing season last year with the Texans, and now they've added Stephon Diggs, Danielle Hunter in terms of the pass rush. You were already a really good team, and now you just made it a little bit better.
Don't forget Autry too.
Yeah, I feel like I don't feel like they're going to be taking a step back this year. I think they're taking a step forward. And so I like what they've done all around, and I think they're ready to win now. And I honestly, outside of the Chiefs, do we really trust a lot of teams in the AFC? I mean, I guess the Bengals, if Burrow decides to stay healthy.
Some of those teams have taken a step. Some of the teams that used to always come after the Chiefs in the playoffs have taken a step back.
The Bills, for instance, it's a huge step
obviously,
back.
I'm just not buying it.
Obviously, we're looking at the Bills. We're talking about Stephon Diggs, and I know there's some Bills fans out there that have some choice words for Diggs, but at the end of the day, it's an upgrade in the receiving department for the Texans and a downgrade for the Bills. I mean, you got Gabriel Davis to replace him. So
honestly,
or not Gabriel Davis. You got
Curtis Samuel.
Samuel,
and to replace Diggs, Chase Claypool.
Yeah,
Curtis Samuel.
Right. Yeah.
Keon Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying,
I was for some reason blanking on our chief.
I mean, all you really need.
Valdez-Scantling.
Valdez-Scantling, yeah.
All you really need if you're the Texans.
Fix my brain.
If you're the Texans, you just need the Chiefs to have a down year, and if they have a down year, then you could win a Super Bowl. If you're the Texans,
I think Stroud's going to compete with Mahomes.
Absolutely,
I'm looking forward to those matchups. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be what we wanted Deshaun Watson and Mahomes to be.
Yes,
from a competitive standpoint, we wanted to see that matchup over the course of time. Unfortunately, it's never going to come to fruition. But Stroud can now be that guy that we wanted to see Watson become.
That's a good point on the defensive side of the ball. I didn't realize that they got Jimmy Ward from San Francisco there. Yeah. They got Jeff Okudah from Atlanta there, as well as Aziz Al-Shir from Tennessee in the linebacking core as well. They got Deshaun Phil. They got some guys out there. They got some guys, some vets that can make a nice little impact for that young team. So that's a good call out. I like that. Good defensive add-ins for sure with that. So you talked about the Bears in that group there. I actually had Keenan Allen on my list for them. You talked about the Texans. I had Stephon Diggs, I believe, on my list. No, sorry. I had Joe Mixon as an impact player, explosive player there. Big red zone guy that they were missing out because Dameon Pierce and Darryl Singletary isn't going to do it. So I'll just give you the top of my list here of who I think is explosive. It's going to be pretty fireworks for this year, and it's gonna be Kirk Cousins. You got a young core there in the Atlanta there, and man, talk about missing a quarterback for so long, and now you get a Kirk Cousins who's developed and helped with multiple receivers there in Minnesota, and now you get him on offense there with Bijan Robinson in the backfield that he was missing Dalvin Cook last year in the backfield after he was let go. So you got Bijan back there. You still have a good actually running back core in Atlanta. You got Kyle Pitts. Revival is coming soon. He's your new
that.
TJ Hawkinson replacement there. And then of course Drake London. Drake London's about to have a season.
Yeah, you got Michael Penix Jr. Just sit back and watch the show.
Michael Penix Jr. can sit back and learn, enjoy the NFL and figure out what to do in the NFL, right? And so I think that in the end, I think Atlanta with Kirk Cousins is your biggest explosiveness.
I just hope Cousins can still keep playing at a high level despite his age.
Correct.
That's the only thing I'd be concerned about. I know for me, I thought at one point when Phillip Rivers went to the Colts that he'd have a great season, and it ended up being awful. And I'm hoping that Cousins still has physically everything he needs to be able to get the job done. 'Cause I know he's got it mentally, but I know that stuff starts creeping up on you, and they're not all Tom Brady, so you can't always play till you're 46
Dude,
years old.
He took half the year off because he injured his, what was it, his knee or his Achilles? So he got a half a year off. He should be fresh.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
He took half the freaking year off. I mean,
Some of these guys, man, when they fall off, if they fall quick, they fall quick and hard. And I'm just hoping that despite the age and everything, he can still come through and be a good player.
So any of these guys, do you guys have a thumbs down on? Do you not believe in? I didn't go every team, but Derrick Henry.
No, I actually love Derrick Henry with the Ravens.
matchup.
It's a great situation there, especially at the goal line.
Jerry Jeudy with the Browns.
I don't care for that one too much, honestly.
Okay, I wrote down Russell Wilson with Pittsburgh.
I feel like
that's stupid, Tanner. Well, let's not even do. I feel like Russell Wilson, really.
Yeah, I think he's having a big.
Oh my god! Well, that's
so
fine.
with Jerry,
no, I'm giving you a thumbs down for that one.
With Jerry Jeudy, I'll go thumbs down as well. I think we've already seen his peak.
Really?
Yeah, we saw it in like year 2 of Denver.
and once Steve Smith Sr. started talking shit on him, he's never going to be the same player after that.
We talked about. I said Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, Tennessee.
Will Levis, I don't think it's well. Here's the thing: the topic is about guys that are being explosive for
for their new teams.
I don't think Boyd is necessarily going to be explosive by any means.
I'm not buying anything going on with the Texans right now.
You mean the Titans?
Titans?
You mean the Titans?
Yeah, whatever.
Hollywood Brown.
I think he could
shit.
statistically have his best year to his career.
I think it's a career year for him.
Yeah,
but by default, because you're the number one receiver for the Chiefs.
You guys might hate this, but if you look at the depth chart of this team, there's nobody else, and there's nobody else to give it the ball to. Zeke in Dallas. Zeke's going to be explosive down there. Who else you giving it to?
Zeke.
Ricky Dowdle? Deuce Vaughn?
Tanner, you're saying to me, Ezekiel Elliott.
Goal line carried. Zeke from 3 years ago is coming back,
Have you not watched him over the course
from 3 years
of the last
coming back.
5 years?
3 years is coming back, dude. I go.
Yeah, you're getting too ahead of yourself on some of that stuff. Saquon's in perfect situation.
Saquon's fine.
Saquon with the Eagles is ideal.
I'm going thumbs down with Zeke. I'm going.
Really?
The Zeke thing's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Josh Jacobs?
Jacobs is fine, but it's still gonna it's gonna miss the mark on my point.
Explosiveness?
Yeah.
Jacobs is?
The impact to a team, explosiveness. Yeah.
He's due.
Well, when Jordan Love has his sophomore slump, then you're gonna have to have Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs.
Aaron Jones is gone.
Josh Jacobs is due for a setback. He's been playing out of his mind. I think he's
such
due
in
for
a better
down
situation
year.
right now.
He's gonna have.
I don't think you get anything out of him that you couldn't have gotten, or you already had it with Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones is passed, dude. He's a bum.
I'm just saying you're not getting anything special out of Josh Jacobs. So. Yeah, you had a few on that list that were pretty rough.
I might be digging deep.
I hope you draft a couple of those guys you just mentioned.
Be careful with that.
In our fantasy league.
Be careful with that word bum. That's very offensive. Please go on. Well, who's your next guy?
That's it. It was Kirk Cousins with the top. So that's just some guys I picked out there from my 30+ best ball drafts I've been doing. So guys I like.
Earlier, Tanner said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again.
Expecting
it reminded me of the fact is tomorrow is the election debate. There's certain states out there that, they seem to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Well,
it just gets worse and worse.
Well, didn't Joe Biden run for president in 1988 or some ridiculous stuff like that? We've had these same people run for president over and over and over again. And we think that we're going to pick the right one and expect a different result. So, but yeah, we do have a debate coming up. What do you guys think about that?
I'm looking forward to it, without a doubt. It's going to be interesting to see what all comes of it. But either way, it's going to be kind of funny. I mean, I'm probably going to be laughing throughout most of it. But I only brought that up because I thought it was interesting, just the idea of doing the same thing every year and expecting different results, kind of like Tanner does with some of his fantasy picks. So I'm just hoping the Jerry Jeudy one is one that he decides to go with and go ahead and come after him again.
Yeah, I'll go after him in the 14th round. Sure.
I'll give you my keys to success real quick for both sides. So my keys to success for Donald Trump is just try to be respectful. Don't lash out at the other candidate, and just try to show the country that you can use respectful language. And then on the other side, for Joe Biden, my keys to success is just take your drugs and try to stay awake for an hour and a half without falling asleep.
Yeah. And
I think if those two guys can both do those two things, then I think you're going to see a pretty even debate, and I think both guys will do well.
Yeah. Both of them have something to work on, because the debates we saw 4 years ago was ugly, man. It was bad for both sides.
I never watched it. I refused to watch that.
It was
shit.
sad, man. It was bad on both sides.
I'm not going to watch it this year either. I don't watch any of those because that's a freaking nightmare. It turns out to be. Usually.
But I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be something to do on a Thursday, I guess, because it's not football season. I guess we can watch the Royals play the Guardians, but I'll have that on second TV.
By the way, for all of you gambling degenerates out there, if you want to bet on the presidential election, it's on Bovada. I haven't looked at the current odds. Tanner, maybe you can look that up. I think last time I saw, it was like a week ago. I think Trump was plus 130.
Okay.
But they let you bet on two different things. It's very interesting.
Trump's minus 160.
Minus 160 on
Biden
Bovada.
plus 170.
Okay. But there's two different things. So you can bet on the popular vote, and you can also bet on who's going to win the election.
Yeah. So that was the election.
Okay.
The popular vote is we just had it. Biden minus 200.
Wow, that's very interesting.
So and Michelle Obama plus 1600.
Oh, sounds like fun.
All
right, man. Well, do you guys
bets.
have any final thoughts before we get out of here for the day?
Oh crap, guys.
The Spurs draft. You guys were asking me about that earlier. I was unhappy with
Furphy still not drafted?
Who?
Furphy.
Furphy.
Who the hell's a Furphy?
You.
Tanner, they don't deserve to have anyone drafted.
Do you not?
Let me tell
you
about
don't deserve to have anyone drafted this year.
What do you mean?
This is a down
Furphy
year.
is
Okay, this is a bad draft.
It's
this
not
year.
a bad draft.
They've got some pretty bad players in this year's draft.
It's not a bad draft.
With the Spurs, I was really hoping that what they would do, I wanted them to trade up to number 3 and get Reed Shepherd. Since they didn't do that, they ended up taking at pick number 4, Stephon Castle. I really didn't want to draft that guy because he's an amazing athlete, super athletic freak, but he can't shoot right now, and he can't play defense in the NBA right now. So that's going to be a project. Probably take him a couple of years to develop. But I was happy that they traded away Dillingham. When I saw him go at 8, that pick number 8, I was pissed. And then I found out that they traded him to the T-Wolves.
So you got the Bucks are picking now. You got 2 back-to-back Knicks picks, Washington, and then the Minnesota pick finally.
So now
we got 4
Knicks fans,
4 picks.
Knicks fans, you're about to be on the clock. Get yourself a damn center. That's all you need.
Appreciate the comment.
Draft you a 5.
Alexa, Tanner for president. That is correct.
Yeah, I don't think we want Tanner making decisions around
I'll solve
here.
all these issues.
Well, honestly, at this point, Tanner is more cognitive than the other options.
I think, you know what? I think Tanner is kind of an RFK type because he thinks that both sides are wrong.
That's true.
They are wrong.
Both sides are wrong. RFK would say
they are
so.
Wrong.
Like you should have been he should have been RFK's running mate because both sides are wrong.
It's not a lie.
Well,
both sides are wrong. So
other than also, the only problem would be Tanner's a big vaccine supporter. So
is that what it is?
RFK
is that what it is?
RFK is not. So.
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not true though. But he does like the vaccines. RFK likes it. That's a narrative that you guys just fucking,
I don't know.
All right, there you go, boys.
I think Tanner's the vaccine
There
guy.
you go, boys.
I don't think so, but I think
we almost did an entire show with no F-bombs, and I just ruined the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, way to go.
You tried. We gave it a best.
That's what happens, boys, when you start talking about politics. Then
you guys
start to fly.
You guys get carried away with it.
We'll talk about it more tomorrow, probably.
Look,
off air.
I know what I'm not watching tomorrow and not paying attention to. So.
Oh, Tanner, we'll fill you in. Don't worry.
I'm sure you will.
I'll give you up.
I'm sure you will.
Obviously, we're all going to be watching day 2 of the NBA draft.
Well, I'll be watching where Bronny James goes. The Royals hopefully winning against the Guardians.
Do you guys seriously think I'm going to watch the debate instead of round 2 of the NBA draft?
I'll let you guys know what happens.
Come on.
Okay.
AJ Johnson, USA.
All right. Yeah. Let's get out of here for the day, you guys. We'll be back in 2 weeks, of course. Like I said, August 21st is the day we're kicking off back to every single week again. So get ready for that. It's going to be perfect timing because training camp will be getting wrapped up. It'll be preseason getting close to wrapped up. And then, just getting ready for football season. So
make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us, whatever platform you're on.
yeah, Jason's got a bug in his drink. So, all right, guys. I will see you on the next
extra protein.
Outro. That's a big freaking bug, dude.
Extra protein. See you guys.